So when it comes to evolution, you can choose to differentiate between evolution and origin of life. For all is evolution, but origin of life is something that is way past the scientific method due to certain instruments that cannot be measured, or things that cannot be measured by mere physical tools, but it can be learned through understanding. For all of life is evolution, but origin of life is, again, it's something that you would have to measure or duplicate, in which, scientists have been trying to do that endlessly for a while. Hopefully, eventually, they'll begin to figure out the exact structure, and we will be able to move forward in a positive way. Instead, what we do have is all of us have a common descent. So it makes total total sense, because of the mass follows structure. All follow structure. Evolution is a broad term with a double or third semantic meaning. Even creationism is a broad term, for fractals are true. Is a true structure. Why not say we are creationists? So then there are truths into the macro and to the micro, where we begin to understand and realize. So logically, it stands to reason, rather, in the, that there is even a greater micro and a greater macro in our evolution and creation, and a source to such systems that creates us and our environment and everything around us. Technically, the quickest evaluation is just our process, because we come from our father's sperm, and called the semen, and then it's implanted to the egg, and then we go from the father's body into the woman's female reproductive system, which then it creates a fetus, and then it's nurtured and grown from the female species, and soon afterwards separates from its incubus period. And then we were born into this the system that we are currently in. But evolution could also called this, what we call evolution, could also be called a reproductive system. In other words, to evolve from one state to another. And there are certain words and systems that we say that as theories, but they're unprovable, but the word alone describes a process that we all go through, trying to make it seem as one thing, but it's really another. And it can be proven by our first basic understanding as to what is life and how it all works. I'm sure that once many people figure out the human instruction, it would enable scientists and laymen to have a better understanding as to the beginning of life and how it all works together, and the meaning of life and the purpose of life, and all that follows thereof that's relevant to all of life. And then we begin to understand, even at a greater understanding, as to who we are, who you are, because now you'll be able to direct the scientific method into a direction that goes from ignorance to knowing, because you yourself have been able to to build a structure in which you can see the steps that it took to get there and exactly what is, as opposed to guessing as to what is because of a bias belief system that creates an outcome that was drawn from the very beginning because of certain prejudice of belief systems, because some people want to keep a certain system so they can use that system in order to control and deceive, instead of creating a better scientific understanding that we can use our true findings in order to elevate ourselves and others in a direction that we are continuously becoming better, smarter, and stronger, because we're always yielding to the truth. And when all people begin to yield to the truth, then we all begin to grow in a quantum level and be able to outgrow a lot of this ignorance that we had been regurgitated or spoon-fed over the centuries. And again, many people are distorting the two sides of the brain and the understanding. And some will say, well, there is no direction, there's no reason, a rhyme or reason. You automatically destroyed your whole structure by believing such idiocracies. And but there is a direction of agency, of mental agency, of understanding and perceiving. And the quicker we come to this understanding, the better the world will seem for yourself, and on a higher level if we choose to understand, as opposed to someone who chooses to deliberately not understand in order to direct other people's understanding so they can abuse you, basically. It's the main point of it. Many knows how, there's a lot of secret organizations and people that deliberately don't want you to have the full understanding. And some people do know how certain things work, which gives them the upper hand, because you're walking around clueless with some ignorant belief systems, which is basically a house of cards that you're just waiting for somebody to ask you the wrong question and your whole philosophy is destroyed, as opposed to somebody that can keep digging deeper and say, well, yeah, but what about this and this and this? And sometimes those people are ostracized, are not even allowed to get into the building. They don't even want you around. Like, if they see you within a certain perimeter, they'll be like, oh, I have extra security at the door. The danger wasn't that you have a weapon or that you're doing anything bad, but it's just that you're yielding the truth, and it pales in comparison with a lie. So they don't. There are many people that don't want the truth to be known, because then people are free to choose the correct choice, which benefits them, as opposed to making an incorrect choice, which actually destroys everyone, including the people who are trying to facilitate this sort of understanding. So then they're confusing the structure of life and the understanding of how this all works, just so they can leave you in a state of limbo. And it's really actually a state of suffering, which is really sad over time. And so this causes a lot of pain. And a lot of people are saying, well, the white man did this, the white man did that, the white man did it with the wiffle ball bat. So it'll have you in a state of just looking at to where the problem isn't, as opposed to the whole structure is that you've come to find out that your true enemy was never about skin color. As a matter of fact, you'll have more of the your enemy being the same people that you're dealing with. In other words, people of the same hue or color, and they're the actual enemy that's spoon-feeding you, acting like they're righteous when they're spitting out lies every second, and then when you go check and verify their lie, you'll see it. And then if you call them on it, they won't use logic or yield to the truth, but they'll keep on with over exaggerated emotions in order to say that might is right but not right is right. So they'll confuse all these understandings, including some people of the clergy, which are nothing more than paid billboards, human billboards of the people who are in higher echelons of understanding, who deliberately do that in order to rob you of anything that you have, and they prefer to keep you and just waller in ignorance and suffering. It's just a lot of suffering, and it's not yours, it's given to you. But once you understand it's not yours and you can break off the ties, the evil then becomes to see the truth of it all, and then they themselves hopefully will be able to turn around and help and find a better way, because it behooves them as well. But they only win through ignorance. But you'll understand this as we continue, especially in the gnosis, because there's a lot of things that are hidden that needs to be revealed in order to you to find and have the entirety of the knowledge that was always given to you by certain people, but then it was stolen by people who have the ability to maneuver and move people around so they can line their pockets and continue to win in ignorance. So basically, negative people only are on top because they went through ignorance. And the more you're enlightened, the more they're not winning, they're actually losing, but they make it seem as though it's that they're winning due to that they have their ability to hoard, whether it's money or property or whatever it is, and in order to achieve an objective that is not enlightenment, but of just to keep people suffering, because the person who has the wealth is actually suffering themselves, trying to find and quench their thirst when they have an insatiable amount of lust or greed or whatever. So there's not enough water in this world to keep them satisfied. There's not enough money in this world to keep them happy. There's not enough power in this world. Not until they realize where the true power lies. And then if they find the hidden gift, then they'll be like, oh my God, have I been that blind all this time? Because the minute they find that secret gift, they're going to be like, wow, they're willing to give up anything they have for it. They were like, oh, so this was the way. The very second that the spirit hits them, they'll be like, oh man, I made a huge mistake. But hopefully this is a part of the process, and it will enable that person then to be able to see clearly and feel what is true power, what is true understanding. And it's beautiful, because it's going to change everything about you in a good way, and you'll find out that the true power comes not out in, but in, and once received, you can give and share, and then the power grows, and again, you become better, smarter, stronger. Even as we're decaying in our old age, you can still feel the love and feel the energy just surge through your body. And so this way you learn, and you're no longer in limbo. And you know how the choice works, and how we could run our lives into a greater form of being and direction, as opposed to a lesser form of being and direction. Because when you pass on, you're going to take all your structure with you. And the heavier you are and the more ignorant you are, then you pass on with that energy, and it's going to be most evident by the time you make the transition into your true spiritual phase. In other words, you're freed from your physical structure, because that's basically you're a spiritual being that's sewed into into a physical being, and that physical being is sewn into this structure, this time. So the time and structure is sewn into this physical being that's sewn into the spirit. But once you're freed from that, you'll be able to move into your energy that was your source, that is your outcome. So then you'll be, we'll go into that deeper. That's a gnosis understanding, but we'll go into that really deep in a couple more chapters. So in other words, keep following the bouncing ball and or the conveyor, and eventually you reach your destination, and from there you can either fly or just go underground, because this is some heavy knowledge. Again, the deeper you go, the higher the number, the higher the knowledge. So by the time you're on number 10 or 11, it's going to be a totally different story. So you'll be going into a direction which is either lesser or greater than direction, depending on which way you go. So you can go to either your own demise or a superior form of understanding and connection through your choice of knowledge, which then inputs your wisdom, which then you grow into your understanding, which again is related to the knowledge. So your focus, your knowledge, and your understanding are all related to one another. And again, it wins through the majority through ignorance. So the more you're enlightened, the negatives will no longer have zero power over you, and then you're actually a freed man. But some people say, well, you're a freed man if if you're not a slave, but chains don't make slavery. There's actually a form of mental restraint or slavery that's done through ignorance, because you don't know any better, so you're left in a quandary to which you have no belief system. And when you have no true belief system, you fall for anything. So that's one of the main reasons. Otherwise, you'll be gullible, and you'll be, the people who abuse you, not for your benefit. Actually, not really even for their benefit, but they're just going to abuse you just to keep you hurting more. So you can choose to always yield to the truth, because then that would help you into your understanding. And even the media perpetuates these lies to further confuse everything about yourself, including your history, the way they're teaching you. They're trying to condition you, many people, just to be yes man, which makes you more suffer more, because you're indirectly suppressing what is the truth, and therefore you're living in lies, and lies leads to destruction and hurt and pain, for they're all relevant from the source. So they use this negative energy as a power of control, like they use negative energy as a dog against you. But once you realize how this energy works, they no longer have a dog, but just more or less just empty energy, in which they themselves are subject to, because they can't win through ignorance. So through higher learning and be able to defeat this hypocritical form of understanding, who uses control or rather deception to be more truthful of the matter. And so for we as humans all have a direct ties, not only physically, mentally, spiritually, but even down to our DNA and the atom. Different types of people that would have been conquered by a group of people that conquer others by a form of confusion and death. So they use all these negatives as a form of their structure, as opposed to having good communication between others. They'll just use deception in order for you to kowtow, which then it was wrong from the beginning and it's wrong from the end, so the conclusion is always wrong, the end effect. And that's why there was is and always has been